Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special live stream of RPG site. I'll be your host of the program tonight, Josh Torres, and joining me in the Skype call is our very own Zack Reese.
Yes, indeed.
And Adam Vitale, which is on mute for a little bit, trying to get some things out of the way first, but he'll be joining us shortly. Unfortunately, we bring you the bearer of sad news. Just yesterday, Nintendo's global president, Mr. Satoru Iwata, passed away. It was very out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think technically he passed away on July 11th, but they didn't announce it until yesterday through Nintendo Japan's website.
Yeah. So, to commemorate his memory, I wanted to do a little something special for RPG site and streaming a little bit of the beginnings of both Earthbound Beginnings and Earthbound. I'm not too entirely sure if Iwata worked on the original Earthbound.
I don't think so.
Okay.
His big contribution to this series, of course, didn't come into Earthbound, but we'll talk about that more later.
Yeah. So I wanted to really show just the big difference that Iwata made from Earthbound Beginnings to Earthbound, because he was the lead programmer in Earthbound and just an all-around amazing game for that time period. So I'll get started. We have a lot of characters to name, so I'll leave that either to the chat or you. We're starting off with the boy's name. What do you want to name the boy? Or do you just want to do default names for now, then we'll do the custom stuff for Earthbound later?
Yeah, guys, if you're in chat, speak up. We'll be reading some of your comments and things like that if you're in the chat. And if you have any questions to ask us or to anybody else, we'll take a read here. So, yeah, it's a pretty devastating time because Iwata meant so much to so many people, and you've seen a lot of the comments flow out on Twitter, Facebook, other places as well. And so it's a very sad time because nothing like this has really happened. I mean, like, nothing to this magnitude. I mean, it's really sad when you hear about anyone passing that you knew about. I mean, so many people, never met Iwata in person, but of course they were impacted by a lot of the decisions that he made. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and start playing some Earthbound Beginnings.
Let's see. Your girl's name or not the girl's name? Everyone wanted the main character's name to be Iwata. Fair enough.
Iwata, yes.
I'm like kind of tempted to like name some of like the other characters on some games you've worked on.
I mean, if you want to go for it,
Yeah. Okay. Just to speed it up a little. For the girl's name, Kirby. Because Kirby.
There you go. Kirby's his thing. Yeah. Kirby was another thing. He did.
Yep. Did Balloon Fight Person ever have an official name, or just Balloon Boy?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, some people would know more than me. I mean, Balloon. That game was before my time, but
it's just it's an interesting case with Iwata's passing, because the gaming industry is still so comparatively young to other industries, and to have a big name like this to go out at the young age of 55 is just groundbreaking.
Yeah, and you heard people talk about how his health was rapidly deteriorating over the months. You can see pictures, you can see him in person, you can tell that some of the color had gone from his skin and just the shape that he was in, the lack of public appearances. And I think it was like last year where he got really sick and he couldn't make it to some of the events. So you knew that something was going on, but it happened all of a sudden. Just like, life can be taken away so suddenly. And so for that to happen, I mean, obviously it's sad when anyone passes away unexpectedly, anybody that you know, but this is going to be something people are going to remember for a long time, especially with all the things he has done for Nintendo. I mean, aside from the industry as a whole, of course, but Nintendo, when he took over as president, he bucked a lot of the trend of what, the Nintendo had been up to that point, because a lot of that position in that company, being president, it was usually left to the previous president, his family, it was like generation after generation, it was only that family up until Iwata took over as the CEO. And so all this going on, and then he took over, and all of a sudden you have a lot of the changes that were made as a result, but still keeping that same focus of Nintendo as a company of, you know, narrowing down to being focused on delivering a focus on games first and foremost. You know, he said, I am a gamer, so he's not like some of these other companies. People like to, you know, criticize Nintendo for not looking to diversify into these other markets, and not until recently, of course, when they started to do mobile gaming, or at least you know, show interest in that with Puzzle and Dragons and what's supposed to come up with DNA in 2017, it sounds like. But man,
yeah, the thing that always stands out to me about Iwata is that he's not afraid to take risks. Like he's a visionary first and foremost. He is a very innovative person. He always doesn't go for the tried and true path. He goes for something completely different and kind of out of left field, you know, which for better or worse leaves people worried. But overall, it's just this guy, his thought process on the gaming industry is something that it's one of a kind. You don't see that with many other companies at all. You don't see that many of the other major players. Just recently, you know, when his strategy to introduce the Amiibo program to the Wii U.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and, you know, we talk about it now, but obviously, you know, the impact that he has made on this industry, people are not going to feel that for a while later. Just like with anybody, you don't realize what they have done. I mean, obviously with Amiibos and stuff like that, it's quickly apparent what that's done, because that's become a huge area of profit for the company. But more than that, it's got a lot of people talking, a lot of people excited about it. I mean, even if I'm not personally that into that aspect of the company, it's obviously huge for a lot of people.
I think that it's a little bit of a doozy, but I think it's a little melancholic that like the last big statement Iwata made before he passed on was that, you know, he apologized for their, you know, somewhat sketchy showing at E3 to people who weren't there. But he promised, you know, that they will strive to do better. And I think that's a nice thing about Iwata is like he doesn't just keep it at, you know, we're sorry about this, but like always looking forward of like saying we'll strive to do better than this, because obviously the thing on everyone's minds right now for Nintendo's future in gaming is the NX, and obviously it was clear that this was like a transition year for them at E3.
Yeah, and like well, the Salty Man Turtle in the comments, he's talking about how that Iwata used to help. I mean, he helped other programmers with the games. You know, obviously he made a living out of being a game programmer. We already talked about with Earthbound, but with other games as well. And so he continued. You heard stories about him helping other developers make their games. A lot of younger talent, helping them out with creating the games for Nintendo. And from what I've heard, you know, even with third-party games, he was more than willing to lend a ear to anybody who was needing some help. And so he touched a lot of people's lives in the company. And so that's something important to remember.
Yeah, just the millions and millions of people across the world, just directly, indirectly, he has helped shape just a massive amount of lives. And Iwata is just I'm still a little bit speechless on how to think about the whole thing, but people won't. History won't entirely see how this affects everything until, you know, a few months, years down the road, and like how much of Nintendo was Iwata. That's essentially like the test of time for Nintendo at the moment, because Nintendo has shaped that company numerous times across the years, and how much of an impact he brings to the table for Nintendo in the gaming industry, both as a CEO and as a developer, is something that's to be seen.
I mean, we can talk all day about the games that he's brought on, besides like, you know, Kirby's Dream Land and things like that. I mean, if it wasn't for him, Pokemon Stadium likely wouldn't have been made. Super Smash Brothers wouldn't have been made because he's the one that presided over that stuff and made it exist. You know, he's the one that created the battle code for Pokemon Stadium. Not a lot of people know that, and so
yeah, that's right.
It's something that game came out like 20 years ago, and you saw the sequels that it's made. I mean, obviously another one should be made for the Wii U and so on, but just because honestly that's one of my favorite series. It seems as ridiculous, but when you have a focus on the battles themselves in Pokemon, it can be pretty fun. And I think a lot of people talk a lot about the strategy involved with the battles in Pokemon, so having a game all about that is a pretty cool concept. And you know, being able to take your cartridge, Pokemon Blue or Red, and use the Pokemon off of that and play the game itself.
Yep.
Obviously, it takes a lot of work to be able to create that scenario where you can do that, and so I'm sure he had a hand in that as well.
Yeah, I really like that it was very hands-on, with just like a lot of throughout the development of many titles. It's crazy to think that, like, on top of, you know, managing this massive corporation, that like he still had a decent hand in creating each like individual titles as well.
Yeah, apparently his talent as a programmer are kind of legendary almost, because he did so much with so little, because there were so many constraints at that time in the 90s. I mean, up until now, I'm sure he's still helped out what he can, like we talked about. But like another one, not to kind of, you know, discuss everything in a short period of time, but someone also brought up about Pokemon Gold and Silver. You know, and from what I remember, it's that Game Freak, you know, they did not really have a lot of experience. I mean, they were still a pretty young company. Game Freak started off making magazines in Japan before they became a game developer, and so they were still not sure how to take advantage of the space that they had, especially with the Game Boy. So what does Iwata do? He actually ended up helping them, because at the time all they could fit on that game was Johto, the town of Johto. I mean the land
region?
of Johto,
the
region of Johto. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. And he actually ended up helping Game Freak compress that game down so he could fit Kanto, and so he was able to fit 2 regions in a single game, and it became amazing that he was able to do something like that. Because we're talking about, like, with Game Boy games, like, it's, you know, a few megs or whatever. I don't know how much space those things can hold, but it's pretty amazing that he was able to fit so much into that. And, you know, Pokemon Gold and Silver became, like, the huge upgrade that the series needed from what Pokemon Blue and Red and Yellow. Those were relatively smaller games, and so it was pretty amazing he was able to do that.
Yeah, speaking of his talents as a programmer, I remember rewatching the Game Center GX or CX episode, I always forget, segment when Chief Arino brought in Iwata for Balloon Fight. And they talked about how he actually got into like the gaming industry, or rather programming. And he said that, like, back in school, when he got a calculator, he just made games out of numbers on that calculator and played with them with friends. Like, wow.
That's impressive.
Like
the TI-83, with a lot of people making games lately, I mean, he was using that on the much older hardware. Like, no graphing calculators, of course.
Like, oh my gosh.
Be a friend of him in school. I mean, that would have been pretty exciting.
Oh my gosh, I wish I was like his best friend in school.
Yeah, I'm sure like Nintendo took notice of that. I mean, I'm sure he showed that with his portfolio, like, hey guys, I can take what is, you know, prehistoric hardware that you would use and turn it and make something amazing out of it.
Oh, that's really bad. I'm gonna die here. Oh, please no. Please no.
Oh, you're about to die.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to...
Like, I don't even have the sound going on right now, because I'm sure people heard earlier where, like, there was some feedback going on, so just hearing this.
Oh, okay, come on. Get back to the house. Okay. Yeah, this gets actually pretty intense early game.
I haven't played this. Is it also just like with Oh, okay, you create save states. I forgot that this game could do that. And you can run. All right, great. I actually didn't know that they incorporated the changes that the fan translation made. Like in Earthbound Beginnings, the original version, you couldn't run.
Mhm.
So it was very slow and pedaling, and there's a lot of things that they made changes to, but the run button was actually one of the biggest adjustments, and so I'm glad to see that with this port, not the port, but with the localization they did that. Yeah, pure grind. I think didn't the someone would know this more than me, or maybe you do, Josh, that like the original game was way more grindy than it is now with the.
I don't know the specifics, but I have heard that. Maybe
Yeah.
someone in chat knows, but I have heard that, but I don't
Yeah.
know the specifics.
I heard it like balanced it a little bit more because it's challenging. Is this the kind of game where like your health? I wasn't paying attention, but does your health go down and you have a chance to? Nope, you can't. Okay, I just it just answered my question. Like
What
in
was your
Earthbound,
question?
where your health goes down and you have a chance to heal up before it hits zero, but it doesn't look like that.
No. Right now I'm just trying to get to the next level so I get access to a healing spell, and then I can actually venture out a little bit more.
So just like Earthbound, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. 'Cause once you got that healed spell, the game got a lot easier.
I'm kind of interested to see where Nintendo goes from here, right? Because they lost Iwata. Right now, I believe Miyamoto is the acting president.
Yeah, I'm sure he was basically forced in that position because of obviously what happened. But yeah, he's now in that position. Who knows if Nintendo's going to keep it there or they're going to look to somebody else?
I doubt they're going to keep Miyamoto at that position for very long.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to be there. Honestly, he always kind of talked about in the past that he was comfortable with where he was, and so by putting him up in be the face of the company like that, I don't know. I mean, obviously he'd still love to do those videos, but he doesn't seem like a very public person all the time.
I'm going to miss the Iwata ass segments. I think the Iwata ass segments are like one of like the best things that they've done like in recent memory.
Yeah.
I really like conversations with developers and getting, and especially like developers that work under Nintendo, like because you don't really get to hear much from them from that casual perspective of just speaking like about their development process, their thoughts, designs. The way Iwata interviewed them was it was somewhat a little bit magical because he
was there.
Pretty
He
yeah,
was there when it happened. Yeah.
He's
Like,
so friendly with them. Like it's so
Yeah.
it's like it's not like super formal. It's just like we're sitting down, we're having this casual chat about what you're working on.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
I know that like a lot of journalists, there was pushback early on with those segments where it's like, oh, okay, you're just going to do our job for us. It's going to be this thing where like you can only ask questions that Iwata wants to ask, and you can't really get the hard-hitting questions. But what people got out of those, it wasn't so much about trying to tear away something from them. It wasn't trying to pry information out of developers and whatnot. What the best parts of those were like what you were talking about, where it's like Iwata was there for a lot of seeing these developers, grow into what they became, AAA developers and whatnot. So seeing them from the ground level, and so he could relate to a lot of it. There was a lot of parts where it's like, oh yeah, I remember back then you told me this, and I didn't think about it much at first, but then I learned from it, and I became a much better person as a result. And it was like a lot of that back and forth that was pretty. It was very entertaining. It was very enlightening, and so I think people became more comfortable with that. And now you're seeing people, kind of. That's one of the things that they'll remember most is those segments, as even if it hasn't been going on for that long. Yeah, with Kamiya. Yeah, when he did his what asks with Kamiya.
Those are great. Those are
great.
Absolutely splendid.
Yeah. Seeing a lot of people talk about like as a in memoriam of Iwata, of course, going back and playing these games to remember him by.
I was playing Balloon Trip for a good amount of yesterday evening. I mean, you can't beat Balloon Trip.
No, it's a very easy game to get into, and so it's like you can just waste hours with that. I played a lot of that as a kid. I mean, I wasn't obviously alive when that game came out, but it was a lot of like just playing it on my like Nintendo. Just it was a good time, and that game was ported around, so it was fun to play.
Right. Alright, finally got to level 3, so I finally have my healing spell. Wait, do I have my healing spell? I better have it. State. Wait, I thought you got at level 3, not level 4. Weird. Okay. I thought you got it at level 3, but
Well, might as well do some more.
Staple RPG mechanics.
Yes. That's when you know this is a classic. How difficult these games can be.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I could. Come on. Okay, good. We'll transition to Earthbound in just a little bit, guys. I just want to fiddle a little bit about this. I'm trying to remember. I haven't played these games in. Besides the test runs, like yesterday and a little bit today, like actually doing a full playthrough of them. It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
Oh wait, the bread didn't heal you, did it? Oh. Let me do this one more save state on the way back to Mom. Mom, please heal me. Please, please heal me. I really need the
Give me
heal.
life. I need help.
Oh, I can't believe I got back to the house without any random encounters.
Oh my gosh.
There we go.
I'm sure you're counting the steps, you know, like a speedrunner would.
Oh, of course. That's why I didn't get into any battles.
Very impressive.
I'm interested. What are some projects that you just absolutely love from Iwata that, like, you know, just especially ones that like are lesser known?
Well, I mean, like, obviously, I mean, he was like the president of HAL Laboratories for a while there, and so like Kirby is one of my favorite characters of Nintendo. Like, I have kind of fallen off with Mario for a long time, but Kirby was always one of those mascot characters that I've always been in love with, and because how fun Kirby's Dream Land was, and you know, everything from that Kirby All Stars and all those games, those are like some of my favorite games, just of how fun they can be and how amazing it was and how dynamic it was being able to take all these powers and just turn Kirby into all these different forms. I think that's pretty much that's what I've gotten most out of him. I mean, you know, it's his thing. It's like he's been so integral to Nintendo. So he's got hands like in Mario and Zelda and Animal Crossing. I think he also worked on WarioWare.
Yeah, I think he did. Pretty sure.
Yeah, he helped create that. I mean, like I already talked about Pokemon Stadium. I mean, there's been such a big part, but I would say, yeah, Kirby is definitely what I hold near and dear, because I grew up playing those games all the time, especially on the Super Nintendo, so that was my thing. How about you?
Oh man, that's...
I mean, Earthbound, of course.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Let's see, Poltergeist is your house. I remember... It's a little weird, but I remember one of my earliest Nintendo games was the NES Open Tournament Golf, and not a lot of people knew this, but he was like the lead programmer on that, if I remember correctly. And just there was a time where I really liked sports games, especially earlier ones. They were kind of janky, sometimes borderline unfair when like you went up against AI and whatnot, but. Yeah. There's just something about that game. Like I actually don't even like golf that much at all, but I don't know. It has this charm to it that like you feel immediately rewarded when like you nail a great shot in that. And it ran just very smoothly. That like, and just seeing like I can grow to love these games that I actually don't like much in you know, in real life. Like I would much rather play, you know, golf on a TV screen rather than trying to learn it on my own, and letting me experience you know, this sense of reward without actually having to put in like the real effort, like trying to get a golf club, going to a country club and whatnot. So I mean, it's a little weird, but I have to thank Mr. Iwata for that.
Of course. Oh yeah, Asian Cajun. saying out these names out loud. Yeah, he did. Adventures of Lolo was him. That was a HAL joint, so Lolo was him too, for sure.
Oh,
he was
yeah,
lead program on that. That was a very fun game. I remember spending hours with that too, pushing blocks around and stuff like that. That was. I haven't played it since I was a kid though, so I'm not too up on it. But yeah, I totally remember that being an Iwata thing because I remember him talking about it in his segments. Yeah, totally. GLC. Yeah, Kirby. It would be hard to find a bad Kirby game. I mean, you might talk about some of them being like above mediocre sometimes, but for the most part, they're some of the most entertaining games, especially the Dreamland games. Those types of designs.
And let's not forget, he was the producer of the original Smash Brothers.
Yeah, no, yeah. If it wasn't for him, that thing probably wouldn't have been made. I mean, when he took over, he helped create that game, but also like, I mean, when he became president, that was like around the time of the GameCube. So like, that thing was. GameCube is one of my favorite consoles of all time. I mean, it's as bad. I mean, as much as they struggled with that system, like the GameCube, I think is pretty much what happens when Nintendo's backed into a corner. What they can produce when they're up against the wall like that. So, I mean, I was kind of hoping the Wii would be like that as well. I didn't really see that from that console, but I mean, the Wii is also Iwata's brainchild. So, I mean, Iwata's the brainchild of the Wii. So. I think the GameCube, is probably my favorite of what he contributed to the company. You know,
hard to say for me. GameCube was really good. I like the Wii a lot as well. Wii U. Yeah. Well, I'm here. I hear the Wii U playing the Virtual Console, so.
Yeah. Let's be clear. It's like the Wii and the Wii U, and even the upcoming stuff with mobile. That's Iwata. I mean, the GameCube, of course, wasn't Iwata. That was Yamauchi, previous president. But like,
oh crap! Wait, I'm not supposed to fight this yet.
I think it's that. I mean, the Nintendo DS. I mean, that was him. I mean, the transition from Game Boy Advance to the DS. He was the one that helped create that. I mean, always obviously championed it and brought it out for everybody to see. Nintendo's DS is arguably like the best system ever made for RPGs. I mean, people will argue about the PlayStation 2, of course, and whatnot, but the DS, I think, is the one that you can point to and say, holy crap, look at the amount of RPGs this system has. And so for us as a site, you know, I think we can I would like to think we agree that that's pretty much been the biggest system for us, just because, of course, that the DS was around when we started to become a site ourselves, and so we had a lot of games to cover as a result, so that was huge.
Alright, I'm gonna transition over to Earthbound, because I finally died, and it was like, I totally forgot about the zombie in the first town. I'm like, oh wait, it's the zombie. It's the zombie. Alright, it's okay. We're gonna get to the game that Iwata programmed, so there's a good segue into Earthbound. Let me
nothing to talk about.
Hold on, let me go back to the banner and transition over to Earthbound.
Yeah, keep the comments coming in, guys. We'll definitely read them on the stream.
Hold on, let's see, where are we? Close.
Anything you remember? Anything cherish about Iwata's contribution? Man, 55. That's insane. 55.
55 is... I don't know.
That's what cancer does, you know? Cancer.
Yeah, but people have been releasing screenshots of Iwata over time, and like just how he looked just this past year compared to how he looked like a few weeks ago. Like, cancer is it's a very, very dangerous and real thing. That is for sure.
I mean, it rapidly deteriorates somebody's body, you know? I think everybody knows at least one person that has cancer, and so they know all too well about how it can destroy someone's body with like the treatments that they have to endure and the side effects that medicine and whatnot can have on someone's body, just to see if they can treat something major. I mean, they take all these risks with all these experimental procedures to try to help somebody, and those don't always go too well. So I know too well about that. Yeah, it was getting really pale. I mean, somebody released the last picture that Nintendo put on their site of Iwata, and yeah, just you can tell what it was at. It's really sad.
All right, we need names again. I guess we'll name the.
Names. We'll stick with Iwata as,
Yep.
as Ness, of course. I don't know. I mean, personally, I would say keep the rest of the names.
I don't remember what was the other names of the people that I named last time.
Last time? I mean, obviously, for the rest, I just put "Don't Care," the first one that pops up. I mean, follow.
Oh, okay. Don't. We're gonna go with.
It fits. Good.
Which one?
Got that number of characters. Of course, it fits because the last game did.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Don't care. We're gonna.
Paul and Jip.
Oh, I like this one. I just put "Don't care" 3 times and it has Sky with like the random asterisk at the end of it. Okay. Why not? Oh no, it's like that for everyone.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it is just because it doesn't fill all the spaces.
Some of these don't care names. We'll go.
Wait, was that the first one with Sky, or am I'm not paying attention?
The girl with Sky, yeah.
Oh, you went to the you keep hitting that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You don't go with canon.
Well, we're kind of going quite away from canon already.
Yeah, we are. Watching Steve Jobs. Well, Steve Jobs was not a very good role model for what you want to do. I mean, he believed in the fact like meditation and all these like all natural things is the best way to go. He ignored doctor's orders. He ignored the treatments, the medicine that he was given, so he could just do his own thing. And that's like the textbook example of what you don't want to do. I mean, obviously, it's one thing to believe that the medicine that they're giving me is just going to hurt me more later or whatever, but like Steve Jobs is, I mean, if you read up what he was doing, it was kind of nuts. Iwata, I'm sure he was listening to his doctors, doing everything they wanted him to, but I mean, the fact that it was a bile duct, I mean, that's, I mean, I know people that have just suddenly, died when there was no conditions beforehand, so it's very sad. But, Steve Jobs could have prevented what happened to him, I think. Well, at least he would have kind of prolonged it, I suppose, but it's not really worth discussing here, I guess.
What's going on with Adam? Adam's
Adam was on the call, but he actually hasn't talked at all, so I guess he's not joining us.
Adam, please get in somehow.
Yeah.
Go bug him. I want to hear his thoughts. That's why.
Yeah, it's
But
just been us talking.
let's see. What other games? He's been involved with a handful of Metroids, Prime, Fusion. Also been involved with. I think he was involved with Eternal Darkness as well. Sanity's Requiem on GameCube.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he was. That's crazy.
I mean, we can talk about Earthbound. I mean, when Iwata came in, they were talking about how this game was going to take like 2 years to release because of how big of a mess the coding was and that. And so Iwata's like, okay, if all I do is take this code and try to work it to make it playable, it's going to take me 2 years. If we start fresh, it's going to take me half a year. And so you're talking about this guy who just comes in and says, you know what? I'm going to save yourself a ton of money and paying for salaries and all this garbage. And he's like, okay, we're going to do this completely over, and I'm going to get your game out in 6 months. And he made it work. And that's just insane.
So he literally came in and was like, "Don't worry, I got this."
It's Adam. Hello, Adam. Welcome to the
he
show.
My
really did.
microphone was like not working. I was talking and I was like screaming, and you couldn't hear me.
Because you muted your mic?
No, it wasn't the mute. It was just not working. But now it is. So yeah, I've never actually played any of the Earthbound games.
That's your
Earthbound.
your calling card. The games you haven't played.
Well,
But,
I played a lot. I kind of joke about that sometimes, what I haven't played, but I never had an SNES. My first system was my first Nintendo system was a 64. So basically, for the SNES games, I had to wait for digital releases. And Earthbound came out like 2 years ago or something on Wii U. Maybe not that, a year or two.
I think it was like a couple of years.
I haven't had a chance. Haven't had a chance to just play it yet, but.
Awesome.
I get to it soon then.
Yeah. I mean, and I think like even when Iwata came in, I think if I remember correctly from the Iwata Asks, which you guys can check out, that's where he interviewed Itoi-san about this game, Shigesato Itoi. It's that I think like they didn't even get it going where the map would scroll. Like he came in at the point where they had trouble even doing that much.
Yeah, everything you're seeing right now, it's Iwata. You see Iwata on the screen right now.
Like all this being able to actually move around the map, they didn't even have that going by the time that Iwata came in and said, "Okay, we're gonna get this fixed." And I think he said it took him a month to fix to get them to actually move the map around.
Oh my
gosh!
And
so he was able to do something that like that they were having so much trouble with, and that's a really testament to how amazing a programmer he was. Because back then, I mean, obviously there wasn't a lot of manual. There was a lot of like learning about these systems, like learning how to program and whatnot. It was a lot less friendly. At least from my understanding, it was a lot less friendly back then compared to today, because they were obviously farther away from PCs and stuff like that. So I can only imagine how tough it is.
What's your when you first heard the news, Adam? Because I got the news from you that when the letter came through Nintendo's website. What I thought you were just you were playing the cruelest joke on my heart. Like I thought that was real.
So basically, I just got I mean just the Nintendo's website have it with an RSS feed, and then I just saw it updated, and then it said notice of death on the title of the the PDF, and I was man. I was like, oh man, what is this? And then you click it, and then you see Satoru Iwata's name there, and it's just you what do you you're kind of in disbelief even though it's right in front of you. I just it is.
Even though I knew the evidence was there, right? It's the Nintendo's official website saying that, and I was just even for a good.
Yeah, it's even though it came directly from their their press releases, it's like no way, this can't be real. And I think the most surprising part is we knew he was sick, but he it seemed like he I mean just not that long ago he was at the investors meeting.
Right.
We didn't see him, but he answered questions and things, and it seemed like he was getting better.
He was recording those Nintendo Directs, so he was there out in public.
The Nintendo Directs, and it just it seemed like he was getting better, and then all of a sudden we get the news. So it's kind of shocking.
And that's what people remember most, how lighthearted they made. I mean, you go to these. We've been doing these E3 conferences for years and years, events. I mean, it's my 6th year this year, and anytime you go to a Sony or Microsoft, it was just okay, what are we in for? It's going to be a lot of these charts and graphs and beating your own chest and stuff like that. My first E3, I was able to, experience the introduction of the Wii U and the 3DS. I mean, I've got to experience both of those with my first couple E3s, and so I was able to go to these Nintendo conferences, and one of them was they had an orchestra where they played Legend of Zelda music when they introduced, and I was able to go there, and I was like, wow, they're making this an event, and it's exciting, it's fun, and they could put on a real show. Then it really captures your heart. And obviously Nintendo's been there since I was a kid. I was a Nintendo guy growing up, I owned all the Nintendo systems. My brothers bought them. I mean, it's good having a few brothers, because as they got older, they would buy your systems, and the parents understood. So we had the Nintendo, when they went to the Super Nintendo, we got the Game Boy, then we went up to the N64, Nintendo 64, and GameCube and whatnot. So we were very much Nintendo household, and we had all the systems and a ton of games, Super Mario Brothers 3 and all that, Super Mario World. We grew up playing those games. My early memories was Earthbound. I mean, the first game I bought with my own money was Earthbound. And it was the one that, I think this might have been the only way you could get it, it was that giant box that included the strategy guide with the scratch and snip stickers on the back of it.
Oh, that's right.
I even remember as a kid seeing the ads for that and talking about how like this game stinks or something, and it was just about the stickers, I guess. It was one of the worst marketing campaigns you could ever have for a game. But I remember buying that Earthbound with my paper route money. Me and my brother, we shared a paycheck, but we both bought this with our own money. It was our first game we bought. Brought it home, played it, and just fell in love with it. I remember distinctly loving playing this game and getting all caught up in the crazy visuals, like the music, everything that was going on. Just fell in love with, and all the mechanics too. I mean, and that's, you know, obviously another tip of the hat to Iwata. It's just how well this game plays. I mean, I think it still holds up really well all these years later. I mean, you could still have a lot of fun with it.
For sure. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, we can go into random battles now. That's right. Here we are. Coil Snake. I still am in love with the music in these games. They still have one of the most creative sound design in games today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything's so punchy and so exciting. It's the battle music, the sound it makes when you smash somebody, literally smash somebody. I mean, I even made like that top 10 RPGs video, and Earthbound, like that was, I think that might have been the first game I knew was going to be my top 10 was Earthbound, because I'm like, of course it is. Not only did it have such a big impact on me as a kid, I played through this game maybe like half a dozen times, maybe more, and never got tired of it, because there were so many twists and turns, like all these nuances that you didn't get as a kid, because the game was more grown up than you expected. Like the whole thing of what happens, not to spoil or anything like that, but what happens at the end, like I didn't know what was going on as a kid.
Right.
But then, like as I got older, and you know, people came up with their own stories about what was going on, I was like, oh, that was what happening? I mean, this game that was sold and mostly felt like it was for kids, this is what's been going on, and so it blew my mind learning about that. And then when you go back and play it, sure enough, you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. This is...
Yeah, it is a deceivingly grown-up game.
Exactly. That's why we want more of it, you know? It's sad to know that, you know, the Mother series has kind of floundered because of the decisions about localization and whatnot. Like, it would have been great to see Mother 3 come over sometime soon, but, you know, powers that be determined that it's not worth it. But, you know, with Earthbound Beginnings, the game we just played, you know, coming over, that was a wonderful surprise, just suddenly announced before the World Championships this year.
That was really cool.
I was like, this is great. When I first saw Torres on, I was like, oh my god, I jumped out of my seat. I was at in our house at E3, apartment building now, E3, and I jumped up and like, guys, do you know what's going on right now? A toy's on TV. They never let him get on TV. Something's up, and you better be paying attention. And so, to see him come out and announce how excited he was to announce that original Mother game, Earthbound 0 to some people, but Earthbound Beginnings to the West now, was being brought over. It's like how much of a hand that Iwata had, you know, placed to help make this happen. But yeah, and now it's gotten to the point where the last thing that we'll remember about him is once again the amiibos and what comes of the mobile partnership. I mean, obviously he had a big hand in the NX stuff too, so I'm very curious to see what they do as a company, like you were talking about earlier, like what direction they go. And Miyamoto said he wants to keep it on the same path that Iwata had, being very game focused, game centric for the foreseeable future. But it's kind of rough to say, like, do other people have other plans?
Yeah, it's all really gonna be up to the board of directors and investors and whatnot, and the powers that be inside Nintendo HQ and upper management. It's like there was some talk like that, you know, like Iwata was like kind of like at odds with them on certain things. So I just wonder like, is this like, you know, gonna be their, I guess, chance to like, now that Iwata is unfortunately like out of the
I
picture.
hope it's not. It's the way I know where you're going with this, and
I know that no one wants that. No, like at least consumers.
Like, do you really want to go?
Yeah,
Now's our chance.
Yeah, I don't like. I don't mean to like villainize them. Like, but Nintendo is still a company. It's still a corporation. But it leaves you to wonder, right? It leaves you to wonder because once Nintendo embarks upon a certain like thing that doesn't seem Iwata-esque, it'll be almost immediately apparent to anyone who's paying close attention.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a time for mourning for sure, but it's also a time to be a little fearful because Iwata means so much to Nintendo. Almost, debatably, almost Nintendo itself at times.
We'll have to see what happens. I mean, it's worth exploring, but I mean, obviously, it's too soon to be looking at that too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could like go in and look at who is moving up the corporate ladder as a result, because Miyamoto's been pushed up, but someone has to take over his position temporarily and all that, and so. Like, does this come full circle, and where do we go from there?
Yeah, for sure. Adam, you still there?
Yep, I'm just listening to you guys.
I want to hear your thoughts on where do you think Nintendo should go from here, now that Iwata has moved on. Where do you go as Nintendo now that you've lost your head for so many years?
I mean, I think like the people who are in charge of Nintendo, and not just at Iwata, but at the board and just like the whole level of higher ups, I think they kind of all have similar values and goals and ambitions in terms of like what they value, and so I mean, if I had to guess, I think whoever is going to be promoted to CEO will probably be someone internal. I don't think they're going to grab anyone external. That doesn't seem like a very Nintendo thing to do. But I mean, I'm no expert at this. But I think that the Nintendo brand and style is kind of been and Iwata helped set kind of that style that Nintendo is known for, and I don't think it's gonna like have any sort of drastic change because he's so much he had a lot of influence on it, and I think it's going to linger for quite some time still, even though he's no longer here. So
I mean, so like, what do they have? They have Miyamoto, they have Takeda.
Yeah, so they have Takeda and Miyamoto.
Takeda is
those two were like
the director. And I'm looking at the sheet, and Takeda. Takeda I think is like he's been there since like the 90s.
Yeah, they're both listed as like directors, so they're kind of like right now, in charge sense that they're the face, but they're one of them might end up being the president and CEO, but it might be someone else.
I think it'd be Takeda. I mean, from what I know of Takeda, he's been there since like Nintendo started making games, like video games. Like he's been there like since the 70s or something. Like he's been there forever, and I think he's the one that actually created the N64. Like he came up with it. He was like the architect or whatever of that thing.
I know. I mean, he's not as public, so people don't know as much about him. But from what I've read, yeah. Well, all I meant was from what I've read, just in passing during these last couple of this last day or so, is that he had a lot of hand in the console development in terms of the actual.
Yeah, he was a total hardware guy. I think he helped make the Wii. Like, I remember his name being attached to the Wii. Like, I think he was one of the lead guys on it. I mean, I think he even... But it's like he's been in software before, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't he make Punch-Out? Like, that's his, too? Someone has to check that for me, but I think he's tied to Punch-Out. And I forget it's like this racing game or something. I'm kind of blanking on it, but like a lot of the big Nintendo like the NES games, like that was him too. I mean, he's obviously his hat is more on the hardware side of things, but based on the fact that we're going into the NX, and they said they're going to talk about it next year, the NX. You know, the mobile side of things. I'll put that aside for now, but the Nintendo NX, I could see him being the next president. Miyamoto's not going to do it. It's got to be.
Yeah, Miyamoto, it seems like it's just not his style. You know, he kind of wants to be more directly involved with the games, like than Iwata was able to be. So,
totally.
I think
he talked about it. He wanted to be with the developers. That was the whole thing last E3, right? Where he was helping all these teams make their games. With like, and they talk about like retro studios and whatnot, how much he helped them when they were making Prime. So I imagine that continued to be the case, and Takeda is going to be the one to help lead the company. I think from what I understand though, is Takeda also shared the same vision that Iwata did, and so that's good news.
Yeah, I hear that's like it's sort of like Iwata's protege.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Like he kind of flew under his wing and helped him and backed him up on the important stuff. So could be completely wrong. I mean, obviously when you're put in power, it's like he could be manipulated like that. But it's not one thing. Not once again, I don't want to think about it too hard because there's a lot of reasons why. Oh, there's actually this part. This part in Earthbound. I'm just watching this right now. This is one of the most important parts of the game right here.
Oh my gosh.
Why is there a fly buzzing around?
Dude, he came out of the meteor. He's actually supposed to help you.
Ah.
And
it's delayed there, so
we have a little bit of delay, and so
right.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
It's one of the saddest parts.
I understand. This was just like, I remember playing this way back when, and I'm just like, wait, what? No.
It's like this character, I think that this game opens so great where it's like this fly just appears and then he's so powerful that he's killing these crazy monsters in like one hit, and he's backing up your entire party, and he gets killed by a simple flat, like a swat of the hand.
Alright, I have to go back to that. Oh, dude, alone. So now alone. Adam, were you a big Nintendo guy back then?
In the N64 and GameCube era, yes.
E, not a fly, but anyway. Yeah.
Right.
So have you ever...
Like, for example, like, I know you were talking about it before, but, like, yes, I had Pokemon Stadium on N64, which I guess was technically the second one. It was the first one released in the West, but it was the second Pokemon Stadium game, as far as I understand. But yeah, I played a lot of the classic Nintendo titles on those two platforms. So Mario, Zelda, yeah, just anything before then, like Earthbound, just not as familiar with.
Okay.
I actually have a bunch of games loaded up on both the Wii U eShop or Virtual Console, I guess, and the Wii Virtual Console that I mean to get around to someday. Some RPGs like Secret of Mana. I know that has nothing to do with Iwata, but
well,
lots of those games just are. I need to get to someday.
You should really play this. This is actually, like we were talking about, this game really holds up very well.
Yeah, I mean, I really love how it looks. You know, I've always been a fan of like of sprite work, and you know, this is also very colorful and it's pretty clear. It's got a very unique visual, and also just the setting. Like, what other games are set, you know, just like the 90s
Yeah.
or whatever this is. Just some, neighborhood.
Surprisingly few. I mean, people point to like the Persona series and all this stuff about games set in modern times, but it's still very rare to find. And it's kind of like I find a lot of appeal with these types of games with like period pieces and whatnot, like Shadow Art. So like I love the fact that this game is set in such a like an everyday type of scenario, type of setting. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons I love this game, because I was like, oh, it's just a group of kids, just going to, like, you would see them going to school and whatnot if not for all this crazy alien invasion thing going on. So
Also has a lot of flavorful text.
oh yeah, the localization is incredible in this game. Very hip. Which I think was part of the marketing from back then. It was meant to be hip for the 90s.
What's happening in this part again?
But why are you beating up runaway dogs, though?
They're attacking him. He's got to defend himself.
Hey man, it's not by my choice.
Oh, I see. They become tame, so you don't actually, like, kill them.
No, you don't kill them, no. Unlike in other RPGs, you would just flat out
Murder them.
slice and dice.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to know that there's so much history to this game. Like Marcus Lindblom, who was the localization director for this game, he was trying to put like a history of Earthbound, but Nintendo stopped it from happening. And so he's got all these great stories to tell, all these interviews that he had with the Torres and Iwata about making this game. So it'd be fantastic to see that actually bear fruit someday.
Okay, I think I'm done here.
And to this day, this game remains painfully underrated, just because of like what people felt like at the time. Like I think it got panned at the time. It didn't sell well at all. That's why it took so long for Earthbound to come here on the virtual console, and so like that's why we didn't get Mother 1 and 2 for the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy and all that. So it's Earthbound 64. I'm sure that's why that got thrown away. Part of it was too is because the series wasn't promising as many sales as they wanted out of it. So.
I'm trying to remember where to go after this. So back to the meteor site.
What are you doing? I don't even know where you're at right now. Did you go to the arcade?
No, I didn't go to the arcade yet. I went to I saw the golden statue.
I don't think so. Man, it's been a while. I just said I beat this game several times, and I just.
Come on, man. Just remember you.
You go to the arcade and you fight the boss.
Where was the arcade again?
It was in the town. You just go straight to the boss and you can beat his ass.
Then why did I help that guy do the golden statue again?
Golden statue?
Yeah, I went down the ladder to some basement and then.
That's not till later. You don't do that until later.
Okay.
There's an order of things. It seems like an open world, but it's not.
No, it's not.
It's a pretty linear game.
But that's why it's kind of a little easy to get lost, because you'll think that you're advancing something, and it's like, no, you're not supposed to do that until like a few hours in. It's like, oh, that's right.
I was gonna say, like, I didn't know where you were going. Like, you only go to that meteor like a couple times, and you've already done it. So it's like it's pointless to go back.
There's a present. Let's see. Oh wait, no. Where am I going? I'm trying to remember where the arcade was. I think it was down there. South.
Have you seen the Mother 4? The fan?
I haven't.
Yeah, it's this amazing thing. That thing's been in development for like 7 years or something crazy. Like, I remember it being talked about in the late aughts, and so that there's been a lot of work gone into it. People haven't checked it out. They've been recently having some trouble, and they've been trying to hire like sprite artists and whatnot. But I think we put that on our Twitter, on RPG Site's Twitter, and apparently they got like a huge call. I mean, I'm blanking on the word to use here, but they got a big response out of it. And so now they're back on track. They were supposed to release it this month, but I think it's kind of been pushed back a little bit. But let me look it up actually. I want to see. It's complete fan made, so don't think that Nintendo's behind this at all. But this has been going on for so long. Nintendo hasn't stopped them from making it. They've been very public about it, and so I guess they don't care. But it's very much like you look at that. Look at the art, the sprites, and the character designs. It's like Mother 3 pretty much, but looking like it has a slightly bigger budget. It's supposed to be out this summer for like PC, Mac, and Linux. I'm looking at the set right now. Yeah, there's trailers. You can check it out.
Okay, I'll go check it out after this.
It looks incredible, but it's a love letter once again to this game, and they've done so much on it. So, like, I think that yeah, they've just been. Oh yeah, they're now going to be updating like every other Wednesday. This is like an update that they made just at the end of June, and so you can check it out, see a lot of that stuff, and it's a lot of work that they put into it. But yeah, it's up into release. So yeah, that game's out soon, and they. I hope to God Nintendo doesn't stop them from doing that.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like,
yeah. Don't pull like some other companies do, like stop it at the last minute. Don't make it a Chrono Trigger Resurrection scenario,
no,
please. Oh my God, that's still hits me hard because I knew those guys when they suddenly had to announce that they had to stop development. Some people are kind of iffy on the whole thing, but it's like the principle of the matter more than anything.
Someone mentioned in the chat that apparently the team is streaming today on that.
Oh, yeah, the Mother 4 people are streaming it? Oh, that'd be kind of cool to see. I might have to check it out later.
There's the arcade. Wait, no.
We'll share it on our Twitter account when there's an archive of it, so you guys can check it out as well. I mean, it's obviously there's like kind of like a gray area for the whole thing, but from what I've heard, it's aside from the art and everything, it's an original story. It's a sequel, from what I understand. So it's like, let it be, let it be a thing. People love those games.
Where were you, arcade? Were you there? That's the library. I will find this arcade. Hopefully there's like no zombie in the first town too. I'm trying to remember.
The arcade, dude, it's to the south. You go deep south.
Deep south? Okay.
Yeah. There's like this weird delay. Like it's like all the way at the bottom of the town. Like on the right. You'll see them. Like you'll see a bunch of those ninja sharks. Oh, it's.
Oh yeah, I see the ninja. Yeah, the sharks.
Yeah, the sharks. You follow that and you get right to the arcade.
You want to meet Frank? You don't want Frank to beat you up.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, those things hit hard. I forgot. Oh, right away. Oh no.
You go into game. That's where it's at. Yeah, these guys are tough, so you have to like level up first before you want to beat these guys.
Hi, restore point.
Man, you were lucky.
I know, right? Thank you, restore points. Where's a good place to grind here? Did I just have to go back to like the first town or the first place?
It's pretty much like walking back and forth, fighting animals and stuff like that.
Let me go back up.
Fighting the townspeople, just getting fights with them.
There we go.
Citizens.
Fisticuffs. Okay,
yeah, I think it's like the conversation's always been like, why aren't more of these types of games being made in this type of setting, with this type of style and all that? I guess it's because so many people were turned off when it first came out that it's its own unique beast. And I would love to see more of it, you know. I've yet to play a lot of Mother 3. I've only played like maybe an hour or two. I really want to go back and play it again, but
I haven't played Mother 3 yet either.
I've heard some amazing things.
I really need to do it.
Yeah, I heard that game gets pretty powerful at times, and so like for as big a fan as I am, it's kind of like it's heresy that I'm saying this right now, but
Gasp. Zack, after playing through Earthbound like 6 times, how could you?
yeah, how could I not played Mother 3?
Can't let go of Mother 2.
Yeah, Mother 2, of course. I mean, I haven't played Earthbound Beginnings either, Mother 0.
Oh, I don't know. Earthbound 0 is one of those things that like you don't really need to play it to like understand Earthbound, because like the story arc it conveys is just like it's very simple and it's
Oh, I mean, I still want to play them.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten to the point where it's like there's so many games to review that I'm pretty much going from one RPG to the next, writing articles for the site. And so finding time to play an RPG where it's not covering it for the site can be pretty tough, especially when you burn out from playing too many RPGs and you need something else to cleanse your palate. Like right now I'm playing the Ace Attorney series, so it's like trying to play another RPG, need some time on it, but
yeah,
soon.
soon. I'm trying to find like a good game to sink my time into right now. That's not an RPG as well. I'm thinking about it. What is this? Hypnosis. Life up, please.
And that's the thing, like with Mother 3, that game was supposed to come out on the Super Nintendo. It was supposed to be out. Like I remember, like it has this crazy history. Because I know Iwata was actually attached to this game. Like he was attached to Mother 3, and then it just got delayed because of what happened to Earthbound, and then all this crazy stuff. It got moved to like the N64. Then because it was going to be like on the 64 DD, which that actually came out in Japan, but the 64 DD did, I think, but it still was canceled, and then it moved on to be the Game Boy Advance, and I think that game only came out like Mother 3. Didn't that come out like in 2005, 2006?
That sounds borderline right.
Because I remember doing one of those birthday tweets not too long ago, so it's like on our RPG site Twitter. So that's like a decade after that game was supposed to be out, it finally did. On a completely different system.
Yeah, 2006, yeah.
There you
Are you
go.
looking it up?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, isn't Iwata attached to as like a producer for that game too, Mother 3? If you can confirm that for me.
Yeah, he's executive producer. So yeah.
Executive producer, okay.
I mean, this is several years after he was CEO, or at least a few years. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think it's like they were thinking about the GameCube, but then they made it the Game Boy Advance. I don't know. With all the stuff that Nintendo had gone through, I'm sure it wasn't easy to try to make a game like that when they had so many other games to focus development time on. With their bigger properties.
Police Bakery.
Excuse me.
Onet is famous for roadblocks. Okay, there's the ninja dudes.
I think they were talking about like Mother 3 outgrew the Super Nintendo, and so they wanted to put it on the N64, thinking that they'd have more capabilities, and that ended up causing a whole host of problems. Oh, I hope they were happy with the way it came out in the Game Boy Advance. I mean, the Game Boy Advance is more powerful than the N64, of course, but it was still like sprite-based. I think the Game Boy Advance is pretty much my favorite system, pretty much. So, I should really get around to playing that damn game.
What were some standout games for you on the Game Boy Advance?
Gosh, I mean, if you just want to throw it out there, like Golden Sun, Advance Wars. Yeah, man, now I gotta like pull up my list of like Game Boy games. I mean, of course, like those the Castlevania games. I'm gonna look this up because I need like a refresher as crazy as it sounds. Like, I mean, there was like those Final Fantasy remakes. I spent a lot of time with like Final Fantasy 6 and 1 and 2 and all that. I mean, Tactics Advance, of course.
Also a great version of Final Fantasy 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I think there's like people talk about how 4, 5, and 6 like that was the definitive versions of those games. And so like yeah, Battle Network, played a lot of Battle Network.
I'm sure I think my Game Boy Advance SP is still
Summon
somewhere.
Night. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I go traveling, I still, one of my like go-to travel games is not like a 3DS or Vita game. It's still Fire Emblem on Game Boy Advance.
Man,
I probably have played it more than 20 times because I just always bring it when I travel.
oh, that's nice. I think like Minish Cap, Zelda Minish Cap. That's one of my favorite games.
Minish Cap. The Capcom Zeldas, I think Minish Cap and the Oracle of Ages and Seasons. I like them a lot.
I am so
also-
freaking screwed. Oh my god.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Flagship Studios, because they shut that down a while ago. No, they were the ones that made that game, or at least helped write the game. I think they're writers mostly, but rest in peace. But yeah, Minish Cap. Like I got so far in that game, then I lost the cartridge. I never actually beat it, but it stood out so much for me. So that's definitely Minish Cap. I'm going through all these games. Like yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's Game Boy Advance just had so many games, and being a huge fan of sprite art, like that's why I can appreciate games on the Super Nintendo so much, like Earthbound, because I still have all this huge love for people making these 2D sprite games. And I think like so many people still give those games crap, like especially with indie developers making sprite-based games. People who have no idea how difficult it is to make that. Like just seeing someone animate a sprite is insane, just because it's so much work they put into it. But it's a very good time.
I always like seeing the development of sprite-based games. It's a fascinating thing, seeing all that in motion.
As long as it's not like for the sake of making the art. Kayla want to know what's so great about Earthbound. I mean, it's because it's a whole package, you know. It's the writing, the characters, the music, the events that happen during the story. I mean, it's because it's so crazy and so unique and so fascinating to play.
Like disclaimer again, I haven't played this game, but it's apparent just from watching and reading about it that it's all about its style. Like there aren't many other games similar style in terms of like the setting, what type of characters you have. It's not a fantasy game, it's not sci-fi. I mean, it's might have like hints of some of those, but it's just kind of like it just kind of feels like yeah, it's hard to describe, I guess, in like what type of style it has, but it it feels like it's like set in the 90s. Just from looking at it, it kind of reminds me of something like the Sandlot or something like that.
It's because of the shirt and the cap.
But I mean, just like a group of friends and it's set in like a small town, or at least it seems to be, and just kind of there aren't many other games like that.
No, it's a very heartwarming story, and so many things happen to the characters that you develop these strong relationships with, and find out what happened to them. It's just like anybody who has like the very fond love for any RPG. Like if they say their favorite RPG, like what are the things that people love the most out of it? It's like, well, the character relationships, like and the development between them, and the mechanics of the game, and the music, and all this stuff. It's the same thing here, there's a lot of the same stuff that people love, but like they talked about how people don't make games like this. It's like you can point to Earthbound as being kind of one of a kind, other than the fact that with Mother 3 and all, obviously, but it's something that stands on its own, and you can't compare it to many other games in this genre, or in any genre for that matter. I think that's like it's more than just a product of its time. It's if you play through this and find out what we're talking about. I've known plenty of people who've never played this game before, and you know they're young and they gave it a try when it came out on the Virtual Console, and like, wow, this this game is once again way ahead of its time.
So
all these crazy concepts.
I know. I mean, this is grapevine stuff, or not really, but just I know some people who played it for the first time on Virtual Console, and I've had two different people kind of tell me that like when they were playing it, you know, they're like, well, the game kind of feels a little bit outdated, a little bit, and you know, they weren't really feeling it at the time.
It doesn't hold your hand, yeah.
But then they said like, you know, they realized, you know, a month after they played it that they were still thinking about it, and they're like, wow, why am I still thinking about Earthbound? And they kind of, this one person told me he realized he liked it a lot more than he thought he did, type of thing.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't hold your hand. I mean, there's parts of this game that are very convoluted at times where it's like, what the heck am I supposed to do here? Where am I supposed to go? I am completely lost. And then you find that point. I think that it only happens like a few times in the game where people can be completely lost, like in Tucson and stuff like that. But it's once you get to that, once you clear that hurdle and you find out where you're supposed to be going, it just leads you the rest of the way. And I mean, if the person that you're talking about beat the game, then I know where that game leads off is probably the moment that stayed with them the most, because it has one of the best endings in an RPG ever. In my mind, it's so powerful and so important and so pivotal that people may take issue with some parts of the game, but I think anybody who's ever beaten the game or knows what happens at the end can all agree that it's such an amazing moment in many respects. So you're still grinding up here, Josh?
Yeah, I'm still trying to. I need to go to the drugstore to get a new weapon actually, but I need
I think you do.
Keep getting killed by ninjas.
Yeah, ninjas are ninjas are tough, man.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to level that high. You just need some good experience. You need a good equipment here.
Drugstore. I might have to go to the bank. Well, let's see. Hello there, how may I help you? Cold remedy, no. Don't need that.
I like what you're talking about, like isn't even happening on the stream right now.
Thank you, Twitch.
Yeah. Like just now, I'm seeing you enter that drugstore. That's the problem with the Twitch delay, for sure.
You wait for me to get to a telephone from here.
You go to there's a telephone in the drugstore.
There, yeah, there, right. I see it.
Yeah.
Vegetable.
They're written in crayon. Part of the charm, man. Why does the whole world have stores that look like they're written in crayon? Part of the charm, man. That's all I can say.
Count, okay. Get me a T-Bat.
Ended up skipping over the second sanctuary. Forgot to get it after getting Paula. Yeah, I remember playing like the first time I played this, having to backtrack because I missed important stones and whatnot, having to go back and find it. So I totally know what you're talking about.
Is the yo-yo a weapon?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if you see yourself flash, it means it's equipable. It means it's meant for you, because like you'll get other characters that it flashes for them as well, so you just don't see it now. It's
Alright, let's see if I can have a...
So you bought the yo-yo and then you just equip the T-ball bat once.
Yep. I actually bought the yo-yo. I'm like, oh wait. I forgot there's like no
confirmation. Did it tell you? Like I saw that. It's like it went from 16 to 14. I'm like, well, that's not good. There's a bracelet for your armor.
Oh, was there?
Arm armor. The drugstore.
Okay, let me go there. Again. Or do I already have that in just in case? I got the baseball cap.
Yeah, I don't think you had the bracelet.
Hey man,
because it's like, yeah, what you need to do is just level up enough where you get the PK. I forget which one you chose. But once you get that spell, the boss becomes super easy. Like, you just take a few hits and it's like, boom, done. Yeah, you can sell your yo-yo. Yep, make some money off of that.
I can sell it later. I don't see the bracelet here.
Buyer's remorse.
It's okay. No bracelet there. What's in the burger shop? Besides burgers.
Just food. That's all they sell is just food for healing up.
A bag of fries sounds good.
Wait, I just saw the bracelet. It was in the menu. You passed over it. It's like cheap bracelet.
Oh, was it just because I read cheap?
You were looking for the
immediately? I was looking for the. This would be really good. Hold on, let's see. Oh, it's $98. That's why.
That's
Crap.
worth it. They hit hard. These enemies hit hard. That's once you mitigate that, it becomes so much easier.
Okay, let me see if I can sell enough too.
Like, did you talk to your dad?
Yeah. I have like $4
Okay, I
left.
wasn't paying attention. Yeah.
Did
you sell your other stuff? Yeah, you'll probably have to grind to get some money first. if you had not bought that yo-yo.
I'm really bad at video games. I'm sorry.
Regret, deep regret.
Hold on. I got.
Sell your yo-yo. Don't sell the cookies.
I'm
That's not
selling
gonna get you any money.
$3 is a lot, man.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it
You don't
is.
need those cookies.
Oh, I want to eat the price. Goods. I'm like looking for items that's like goods. I'm like, okay. Use. Okay. Okay, back to oh man, the guy just got run over. Sad
Oops.
times. Honk honk.
Sad days.
Hey, it's at least it's not like getting run over in Smash Brothers, man. On that stage.
It becomes so much funnier. It becomes funnier later with the stuff that you can do, running into cars and whatnot. But yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can kill one of these ninjas, like from like getting a good like side attack or rear attack on them. I feel like I can.
They run after you, so that's very difficult.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good. It's a good thing that I'm really good at video games, as you just saw.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there's that rule, like, whenever you're... that law of the universe, that if you're ever playing a video game in front of someone else, you're, like, half as good as you normally are.
Yeah. It's obviously talking and playing at the same time, but... He's got the nerves, man! He's got the nerves!
I couldn't sneak up on this guy. Damn it. Okay, it's okay. I got it.
No, I don't think you can really sneak up on those guys. You have to talk to them after all. Some of those guys. Some of them just chase after you, and you can totally get the back attack in.
Okay. I'm inside the arcade. I got this. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Thank you for all the hamburgers. I need them.
Seems like you're doing better for sure.
Goods. Hamburger. Oh yeah, the hamburgers max out your HP. I totally forgot about that. Hey kid, do you wanna come here? Yeah! Come back after you finish Earthbound.
We never get to see him again.
Hold on, let's see if I can ambush this guy. This guy just constantly looks at me. Come on. Don't do this to me. Whatever. Are you ready to get it on? Okay, let's do it. Battle to the death. Sweet. Level 5. Alright, after I beat Frank, I think we'll call it for the stream.
I think you have to get to level 8 if you want to get the PK ability. Just a heads up, because what you're supposed to do, if I remember right, is that you have to beat all the sharks that you can in this arcade, and then that guy at the door leaves, or at least he fights you, and then you defeat him. So if you want to make that fight easier, you want to get to level 8, and then do it. So I'd say, you know, just keep fighting these sharks.
Depends if they want to fight me or not, though.
Yeah.
Like some of them, like I can initiate a fight with, some I can't. I just forget.
No. You're supposed to just beat the ones outside too.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice smash.
Love that sound. I tried to make that sound. Couldn't make that sound.
You tried. You tried really hard.
It's a great sound. Some of the best.
that should be like a mod for like Earthbound. Like people tried like fan-made like sound effects.
God, if anyone could rip the sound files from this game, just and put it everywhere, I would fall in love.
I'm kind of surprised.
Skyrim, like this, every time you get a critical hit, just make that sound, please.
I'm kind of surprised no one hasn't yet.
Or Dark Souls. With the same color palette, just go nuts.
There you go.
Yeah, man. We named him Iwata. Give him all the respect. Oh! You don't want to be fighting more than one.
I know. I saw that.
You might want to save it or something, because... Oh, you really? Why you risk it, man? You had all these cookies and hamburgers and you just decided to die? You're not a very... You take too many risks, man.
Oh my gosh.
You want to call it here instead?
Hold on. One more. If I die again, we'll call it.
Jeez. There's a... Sorry if I mispronounced this. There's a Tahu mother? Really? I didn't look this up.
Or a Toho
Tuhu?
mother?
Oh no, I
Tuhu. It's Toho.
Toho. Yep, Toho. Tuhu?
It's Tuhu.
If it's exactly what it is with like Tauhao characters in Earthbound.
Oh my! Why does this guy have 3? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! I said after the next death, but this guy is just ambushing me at the door.
You need to stop getting in fights outside.
This guy keeps ambushing me at the door. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. Let me go get a hamburger.
Terrible at video games.
I try my very hardest to not be bad at video games.
I'm very bad at video games. Anyone who's seen any of my streams knows how bad I can be. A lot of it getting going against all the odds. I managed to beat some of these monsters when the pressure's on, but just sloppy playing. That's me.
It's the curse, man. Someone's watching you, you're gonna do your worst.
Well, I mean, to be fair, what I've done, if you guys check the YouTube channel for RPG site, I'm the one who does the marathons, pretty much. So, like Final Fantasy VII, Secret of Mana, and all those games, they always end kind of sloppy. Secret of Mana actually took advantage of a glitch, and so that actually wasn't that bad. But
nice.
I remember the last boss, there was this weird, this crazy way you can get around getting attacked, and I was able to take advantage of that. But yeah, otherwise it's difficult. A fan-made RPG Maker game by Telly did an amazing job recreating Earthbound's battle system. Oh, so it's the Toho mother.
Okay, I'm getting really good luck on this. I'm getting really good luck on this. Nice. Okay. got really good luck on that fight.
So lucky. You're too lucky, man.
I mean, I'm the best. I'm a good gamer.
Let's turn this back around. You are amazing at video games. It's not just luck.
I just need to find that dude that has 3 of them on there. Okay. Creator
Really?
Store.
You want to ask for that? You should only be facing one of these at a time, man. Any more and you're asking for
look, I killed 3 of them last time, or tamed them.
You should be saving after every successful battle at this point. I mean, yeah, they save spots.
Oh, see, there's only one. There's only one.
I like how we got caught up in the tree. That was good.
The pro strats.
Yes.
Was there any more ninjas out here? Or sharks, rather?
Do you think that now with Iwata gone, of course, are they going to go back to doing press conferences at E3? Or are they going to just keep it with the directs?
That's an
The
interesting
directs seem to
question.
be working very, very well for them.
I have to imagine they're gonna keep up with the directs. I mean, it
Saves them like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So
there's no reason to go back to conferences for them when their directs are doing this well. But
I mean, in the way you talk during those events, I can see it.
But I mean, for like unveiling the NX though, I could see them doing a press conference for that.
I would see a totally separate event, like because they're going to do the Nintendo World Championships again next year. I could totally see that being the place where they do it, because all the eyes are on them, and so being able to do that and expanding the number of people who can actually participate in that event in the Nintendo World Championships, and then say, all right, guys, for your first game, you're gonna play this demo off of the new Nintendo NX hardware. How crazy would that be? Is if that's the way they introduce it, telling people, okay, here's a controller. The first game you're gonna play is one of these demos that we've made using the new hardware. That would be fantastic.
That'd be pretty crazy.
Because I mean, with the Nintendo when the Wii U and the 3DS were announced, people had a chance to play it. I'll play on it that same time during that same event, and so that would be remarkable. I think it'd be a very great thing to see. So, I mean, that's my prediction about what they're going to do with it. But yeah, I totally agree. Keep them with the directs, because as much as I love, I mean, E3, the conferences I still enjoy going to, but I would love if Sony and Microsoft started doing more of those directs, because most of the time, the only stuff you'll find out with like Sony, for example, is when they put up press releases on their blog and letting developers publish their posts for them. But I would love to see bigger of these types of events, because there's so much excitement. Whenever one of those things are announced, there's so many people paying attention to them and so excited about what can happen. I mean, they're not always gold, of course. I mean, there's a lot of like bad ones, but whenever they have something to show and they present a new trailer for it, you just see this huge response for it. And so obviously it's worked for them, and I'd hope that Sony would do that. Do one for the Vita, goddammit.
I don't know about that, friend. I want to believe as well, but I don't know about that, friend.
So many games coming out for the Vita, and yeah, they like to say that there are a lot of games, but they sure won't talk about them that much.
Okay, level 6. Are you sure I had to kill all the ninjas outside before I get access?
I don't think it's about inside. I know it's inside. Outside, I think they keep respawning.
Yeah, but even inside, like, do I have to be like at a certain level to like challenge some of them?
Well, I mean, it's like you want to get that PK stuff, but I know that you fight all of them. I know. I mean, you beat all of them, and I think you talked to the guy at the door. I don't think they respawn indoors.
But he's just like, you can't become a member until you beat Earthbound.
Well, choose the other answer. I think you're just choosing the wrong answer.
Oh, okay. Wow, I totally forgot about choosing no for him.
How long has it been since you played this game?
Oh,
You're, like, the whole point, like, you'd be like, okay, you can become a member, now you must fight me. Like, the logic. And then it's like, well,
no, I didn't.
Friends.
No.
What are you doing? Why are you fighting me?
Okay, okay.
Man, you really should have healed up before you did this. You should probably go like sleep at the hotel or go back home actually and sleep up before you fight the boss.
Maybe I'll get the bracelet. I'll concede on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What level are you?
I'm like level 7 now? Maybe 6.
You really need to get to level 8 before you do this. It's going to become a very big reason for if you want to beat this guy. Because without the PK, without PK rocking or whatever.
Let's see, where's the drugstore?
Or was it PSI? I don't know what it is. I'm probably thinking about PK Fire and PK Thunder. That comes later. It's PSI rocking. What's your favorite thing to do? And what did you choose?
Oh, gaming.
Oh, okay, so it's
games.
PSI Gaming, Psy Gaming. Okay.
Yeah.
You'll need that. Because otherwise this... Yeah, we need to beat Frank. And then we'll...
Drugstore. Oh, okay.
And this is like... This is before you get a lot of like your more important spells, so like... This might be like the most difficult boss fight if you don't prepare yourself. Like it's gonna be like the hardest boss you've ever fought in this entire game if you don't get at least your first ability. So that's why it's important to do that. Because after this, like you get all these other spells, you get the other party members, so it's like it's nowhere near as challenging. It's like in Final Fantasy Tactics, when you beat those wizards in that like second or third fight, then it becomes so much easier. There's like a hump.
Okay, got the bracelet. I guess I'll go home.
I like how you had it. Oh, you withdrew as much as you needed. Okay. It's like you had exactly enough to get that.
I don't like carrying like a lot of my money on hand in Earthbound. It's like having it on storage. Just like in real life. Practicing good habits in RPGs.
Do what you must.
Oh my gosh. I forgot this guy was a thing.
It's kind of crazy to think that Iwata turned around so many things as a developer. I mean, as an executive and all that. Like, from what I remember from reading people's posts about this, it's like Hal was on the verge of bankruptcy when he came in and turned it around, became president of Hal, and then made that company much bigger than it ever was. Same thing with Nintendo. Like he took over when the GameCube was destroying them, like it was really hurting them financially. And then he's like, okay, we'll do this, this, and this, turn things around. And then of course with the Wii, it really made them like go back to the times of the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. Without all the with all the other like the strong arming and the the illegal things. with like telling retailers that if you don't do this, then we're not going to let you sell any of our products.
Yeah.
And we're gonna hurt you and put you out of business as a result. So, yeah.
I think one of the most endearing memories I'll have of Iwata is just that he was an all-around charismatic guy. He appealed to so many demographics. Just whether a child of young age or a hardcore gamer like over 30s, or just like a young mother, or just like you could be anyone, and you would like Iwata just the way his mannerisms, the way he spoke, the aura he like presents himself in.
He seemed like a very approachable person.
Yeah.
And like. And that's a very big testament to what the image that people had of Nintendo. I mean, some people thought Nintendo was stuck in their ways, of course, when you think about some of the other things, but Iwata as a person, of course, touched a lot of people's lives that way. I mean, everyone had talked very highly of him. I mean, he's been there for so long.
Have you ever
like Nintendo Directs and stuff like that?
Have you ever were able to like approach him like at an E3 or like seen him like walking around?
I've been near him. Like I shook his hand once. That's about it.
Oh, you're so
he's usually not. He's not really been at E3 proper. Most of the time, it's like the only times you see him is like at a conference or whatnot. Most of the time, he's in meetings, I'm sure, and being held back. But he was on the 4 ones, and I shook his hand once. That's about the most I've ever gotten.
Hey, you got to just... You got to do that. I'm so envious of you.
It's as important as that is. I mean, Shuei Yoshida is always around if you ever want to shake his hand and talk to him. But it's... that's just, you know, what it is. And of course, with the Nintendo Directs, like, there's less of a reason for Iwata to be there anymore. I mean, obviously, you could say some of that was because of his health, too, but, you know, that's just the way it was.
Right.
But yeah, they brought a lot of fun to their events that they had, so... That's what I was talking about earlier. Like, people can say some really nasty things about Nintendo and their games and all that stuff, but, like, me personally, like I was talking about, I grew up in a Nintendo household, and so, excuse me, like I never had the negative feelings that a lot of people seem to have. I mean, sometimes I take issue with like the, excuse me, the games that they had, like not being enough for me to buy a console. Like that's why I've not really bought a Wii U yet. Although I'm totally in the market for it now. I'm totally up to buying a Wii U now. I've been actually actively looking around for the past few weeks. Like, I couldn't care less if Nintendo's hardware isn't that powerful. It's the games. It's always the games.
It's always been. That's always been Nintendo's strongest thing is their software lineup. First party.
Yeah, and Nintendo, bar none, has some of the best programmers and the best artists in the business. Like, people releasing broken games left and right. Nintendo's games, for the most part, work.
Oh yeah.
You can say whatever you want about the networking, because that's garbage. But it's like, when you talk about the actual games themselves, and the experiences that they bring, and the memories, and how much people talk about them on Twitter and other social networks, it's an amazing time, and that's why I can't say anything bad about the software that they do put out, even if it's not as frequently as you'd want it to be. Like whenever they put out a game, it makes you like perk up in attention, and you just want to play it, like Mario Kart or Animal Crossing or you know, Zelda games and whatnot. Like that's the kind of thing it is. You know, they made some pretty big moves, and you hope that Nintendo NX, if they are doing what people are saying, like converging, like bringing together their portable and their console teams together to create this all-encompassing system for people to enjoy. It seems like if they do something like that, more third-party developers will be on board, and then you could totally see yourself buying just that one system instead of two or three. I mean, to be fair, like a lot of people by then, by the time the NX comes out, will at least own a console, like an Xbox One or on a PS4, besides the Wii U, and so that would be a great thing to see what they do with that. Like I could totally be down with whatever they plan on doing with that. I'm excited to see what it's going to be for sure. And it's next year, you know, like it's so soon, and you got to imagine that Nintendo hasn't really been talking about the 3DS successor, you know, so you got to wonder that it's got to be this, right? Like this has got to be, because it's been like, I mean, that thing came out like 2011, and so if they're not going to talk about it, besides the, you know, the new 3DS and stuff like that, like that's just a stepping stone. It's like, well, if they're going to bring this together with the next console, with the next system, they don't, to me, like they don't really need to be in the console space. Like they could totally make it with hardware. They could totally make it with like the handles. I mean, to be honest, like I don't care if Nintendo goes third party. Like bottom line, I've always felt that way. I couldn't care. It's
always, once again, it's always been about the games.
Yeah, I mean, as much as people have reverence for what they felt like growing up and all that, it's like Nintendo makes some of the best software around, and so like if it means that they'd be putting that software out on other platforms, then you know I'm totally down for that. I see you beat Frank. No, you beat them Ninja. You actually. I've not been paying attention. Did you?
No, I didn't beat Frank. I didn't die. I was thinking about facing him, and then I was like, oh wait, I'm only level 6. I'm level 7.
You're level 6? Oh, okay.
I'm level 7 now.
Oh,
spoilers, because I just leveled up. About the 3DS, the potential 3DS successor, and whether this NX is gonna marry the console and handheld space for Nintendo. I don't. It's weird because it's a good idea on paper. I don't know if that would actually translate well in practice.
Yeah.
And I feel like I feel like someone's tried that before, but like failed. But I'm trying to remember what it was. I feel like that's been done before. And no one talks about
I mean, the Wii U is basically like a blown up 3DS. Like that's really all it is. I mean, it's like it's just that the fact that you have a much bigger top screen. That's it. That's what it really comes down to. You got the bottom screen, you got the giant top screen. That's really all it comes down to. I mean, not to be so redundant about it, but not to make it sound like it's smaller than it actually is. But that's clearly what it is.
The big question is who's the next person who will consistently say directly to you, to us.
Is that what it's gonna be?
I'm gonna miss that. That was really cool. I like that Iwata said that. Okay.
No, Iwata's actually he's one of the most charming guys.
It's like
the last thing we'll get from him is being a Muppet. That's amazing. That's fantastic.
That would be I feel like I want them to like sell those like Muppets and thing.
Oh yeah, I would totally be right there.
I would totally get that.
I'll buy a Miyamoto plushie. Yes.
I'd get all three. And then you can have like add-ons of like them turning to Star Fox characters as well.
Oh my gosh.
I really want to take on Frank right now, man. At level 7, I feel like I can do it. I feel like I can do it.
I feel like we've been doing this for too long and trying to like stretch this out.
Okay.
Are you sure? Because
I got
how
this.
far away from level 8 are you?
I'm okay. I am 228 experience away.
228. And you're getting like 12 or 15 experience per battle.
Yeah.
This is...
Okay, we're gonna do this. Whether I lose or fail, this is the big grand finale.
And you're not even fully healed, are you?
I can just eat cookies, okay?
Okay.
Like, you make it sound like getting healed is like...
this is gonna be the most challenging boss fight in the entire game.
Okay, well, this is... We're in here, okay?
Once you like level up in the battle with Frank, and then you're like, oh, okay, now we can do this.
I got this.
You just better be lucky with those smash attacks, because if you're not, then it's gonna be way harder.
We got this. I'm just gonna munch on cookies until I die. Cookies.
You're gonna use up all the healing items. You do remember that you have 2 boss fights to look forward to here.
Oh yeah. I remember that much. I think. Okay. I feel like I'm good. Just set a restore point just in case and cry about it later. And
better, just a word of advice, keep your health above half. Keep it above at least 40 or something, because otherwise you're going to be just destroyed. Let's see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens here.
Me too. Watch, I get just one shot.
Yeah. You get to, like, a lucky attack in the first hit, and you're done.
Okay.
So far, so good. You're not getting any bash attacks, though. I think with the weapon you have, it's been better. Okay. I think you'll be okay. It's not... As long as you keep your health up, make sure you keep it up.
My right eye is like burned, so I'm like doing this like with my left, like only my left eye.
Oh, I didn't realize you learned life up. Okay, that'll be make things a little bit easier. Good times.
Who's the best?
Good times.
Who's the best? Who's the best?
After I beat this game the first time, every time after that, I always at least got to level 8. I guess obviously it'd be boring if we just sat here and watched you grind levels, so we'll be okay.
Okay, well that concludes our special tribute to Satoru Iwata live stream. Thank you everyone for joining us. I know it's a little bit drawn out at the end because this guy wanted me to go level 8. I'm like, you know what? I think level 7's good. But I mean, we'll truly miss him, all of us. I mean, he brought something amazing to the world that's unique to him. Like, no one else can replicate what he has done for video games.
We'll be talking about him for years, you know.
Yeah.
Once again, like, we don't know the type of impact he'll have until years later, and so, you know, we'll always remember him. And it's very, very depressing, very sad to know that he's gone now, but see how Nintendo carries themselves going forward.
Yep. Adam bowed out earlier, but wanted to give a shout out to Adam as well for special thanks for him joining us at the chat.
Yeah.
And thank you, Zach, for joining me.
Sure.
Carrying out this event. And I don't know. Can we put this up on the YouTube as archive? I'm not sure.
Yeah, totally. We'll put them up. We'll put it up. Check it out on our RPG Site YouTube's channel. We'll put it up there. It's for archive purposes, so you guys can watch this later if you want to. We live this magical moment of our conversation, and yeah.
And Zach having no faith in me.
I have very little faith in most other people besides myself. I only believe in myself for the most part.
But thank you, and everyone have an amazing day. We will miss Mr. Iwata truly, and
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Thank you.